episode 14 of the In the Mix podcast. It's our last episode of the season. We finally got it right.
It has been wonderful.
Yeah. Before I jump into this episode, which is the all about everything episode, pulling all the pieces together for the end, what has been your takeaways just in general of podcasting so far?
Oh my God, I didn't know what to expect at the beginning. And the podcast that I watch, a lot different than what we just did. We just covered some territory, in South Central in my life and your life. And I don't know what I expected, and I didn't know it was going to be like that. But it's been a nice ride. It's been a nice ride.
Yeah, I feel excited for my own personal goals. I feel excited, and for our goals for our organization, I feel excited because I feel like my intention was to try to create an archive of everything that we needed to know about us and South LA Cafe and our overarching, sort of frameworks of how we operate. Right. And I feel like we talked about all of it. We really got through the majority of all of it. There's obviously more things every day.
And we could have gone deeper, it's not enough tape.
Well, we will.
Is it tape now? It's not tape anymore. What is it now? It's not enough.
I don't know.
Not enough digital time.
Memory.
Yeah. We could have, memory on the recording devices.
Well, we'll come back to it. I think that was also something that's been a good takeaway for me is the spaciousness that it allows to take a kernel of an idea and just start there and to allow the conversation to flow and to, sort of deepen and deepen and deepen and take you in directions that, you can't plan it out, right? Which I really appreciate because obviously I like structure. I'm a coach. I like to sort of have an action plan, but I've always been what I say is in a co-creative dance with spirit or God where, I always come from a place of a download of like, okay, what is the why? What is the reason of what we're doing? And try and get as much information as possible from my higher power and download that into me. And then I take aligned action steps with that. And then when I get to a place where I have uncertainty, then I pause and I sit with that uncertainty and I go back into the questioning and the quiet and I wait for the download and the clarity to come again and then go from there. And so I feel like this...
But those happen in seconds for you.
No, right now I'm holding a really sacred question about my own life and development in 2024. Like I have a really big, some really big questions on my heart about my own future, my own journey into the future as I'm turning the corner on 5 years of investment into the Slack universe, which I love and I'm not going anywhere and I want to continue to, be a big part of. I also know there's other pieces of me that are being birthed out of the work that we're doing or want to be rebirthed that were pieces that I was doing before, that have said, hey, you put me on that library shelf, but you see me starting to pop out. I'm going, hey, don't forget about me. So I'm feeling that pull, to go back and
that's always going to happen. And especially when you're right before you're about to finish something, something's going to want to go and pull you. That's just life.
Yeah.
It's going to be that way.
But the co-creative dance with spirit for me does happen often sort of instantaneously or quickly, but it also can take months and sometimes years. When we birthed Slack, I knew that it was coming for probably a solid, I want to say 18 months before. I did not know what it was going to be, but I knew very clearly that a change was coming, that I was going to need to put a pause in the work that I was doing to get ready for the next batch of work, and that what I was going to create was going to be so much bigger than anything that I could even imagine. And so that I needed to literally put everything on pause and life support so that I can shift, and then sit for months after I did that in the not knowing of this gray area of what's it going to be until that came.
Yeah. And you were just paying out. You're just paying. No, I don't mean just money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big part of it, but you're just paying out. You're paying out soul, you're paying out time, you're paying out everything toward this, not knowing is a giant leap of faith. It's a giant leap of faith. You want to call it that or not, that's what it was. You were doing it and didn't even know it.
Well, and
then you got so deep, you had to keep going.
Well, and then I got so good at, as Lindsay Paris says, holding the tension of the not knowing, I got so good at holding that, knowing that almost was like a birthing process, right? Or like an incubator process. And knowing that, like you said, you're paying out. For us, it's often paying out financially, paying out emotionally, paying out spiritually, paying out in every way energetically into an investment into the next piece of the journey that we may or may not know the exact specifics of,
right.
But we have faith that it is unfolding the way it's supposed to as part of our divine assignment, as part of our divine plan for our lives.
And folks, we did that while raising teenagers.
Yeah, we're in the midst of raising teenagers.
Yeah, no, and they turning out pretty damn good.
Oh, they're so amazing. They're so good. Yes, on top of all of that, yes, we're pretty awesome parents. Although, and I think everybody knows because we've talked about this all along, but just wanting to say again, I feel like I want to make sure it's probably clear from people listening, but we're highly flawed, we're real people with real people
Only
problems.
Real people can do this. Real people couldn't be able to sustain. This is who we are. This is our core. It's about giving. It's about community building. It's who we are. If this was not you, this wasn't real. If we weren't real people, it'd have been a hit and miss. And do this and then get out.
And what do they say? Real people, real problems. And that's what I'm just trying to allude to is that we're real people who care so deeply and have invested so much into this work. And yet we're on our own journey, right? We're on our own journey as individuals. We're on our own journey as a couple in a partnership. We're on our own journey as parents. And that journey has all the ups and downs that life brings. And, we're working and trying to perform at our highest level in all those different capacities and bring the best version of ourselves. But at the same time, we're flawed human beings. And so there's mistakes that we make and there's interactions that we have that we wish we could take back, or, right. Things that happen where we have to make repair, or things that happen where we have to, do the work to sit with it and, really go, oh crap, there's growth. There's a lot of growth needed for me in that space, and yep. It's fascinating, this thing called life. Well, unbelievable. Well, that was a really good lead into the conversation that I wanted to have. And, I have a little, speech written for, well, I'm a professional speaker, so I'm not going to literally read the speech,
it makes it look like you're so prepared and I'm not, but go ahead. Okay. I go off the cuff. I'm pretty good. Go.
Well, there's a section here.
You got a speech
in the second page where it says, Joe, what are your lessons learned?
Oh my God.
So let me get through this stuff, and then you can. But of course, anytime that you want to stop me. But I would like to.
Oh no, I'm not doing that today.
I would like to get into my flow that I had in mind for this conversation.
Sounds good.
So, all of our conversations so far, we've identified that the odds have been stacked against us. The structures that we're working within have been built for our failure and for others' failure.
Let me stop you, but we're not claiming victim in that. But go ahead.
I cannot do this if you're going to stop me in the middle of all these things, because I have a lot to say and it layers on top of each other. I know we're not victim, but I'm trying to explain that I'm trying to talk about the social inequities that exist and that I want people to be able to identify with, because they're going through it too. So if we all are worried about being victims, then we're not actually able to just speak to the truth of the fact that there's oppressive structures.
All that to me. You're going to start over?
Maybe I'll leave it in. I don't know.
Okay. You didn't have to explain that, though. I
okay,
get it.
But I literally just said, if you could let me go through this stuff for a second. And then the second thing I said, you wanted to clarify that what I was saying was not what we're saying.
No, I was just adding flavor to it. It's like you're the person with all the written stuff, and then I thought was flavor. My mistake. See, I'm still learning.
No, it's okay. It's just your point is a different point. So if you go, yeah, but we're not victim, it's like you're taking the conversation in another direction. It's not, you're not adding to it. You're saying the opposite of it.
Okay. Let's start over.
All right, let's start over.
Where you want to go? Where you want to start?
I'm just trying to get my grounding, so just give me 1 second. I'll be back on it. So on all of the conversations so far, we've identified certain aspects that have been consistent. In our journey, the odds have been stacked against us. The structures that we've been playing within have been built for us and others like us to fail. They haven't been set up for us to win. And, the best chance we have is to use the strategies and the tools and the process that we've brought to light in these conversations. And by us practicing these things and by others practicing them as well, that really allows us to do our best job to fight and ultimately to win together, right? And, we want everybody to understand how we've done what we've done and why we've done what we've done and what tools we've used, because we can't do this together. We can't fight these structures alone. We can only do it with others together, right? The power is in numbers. And so while we might be leading the charge, there's the masses behind us that are coming right along with us. And we want to hand down the knowledge. We want to pass the baton back and pull people up with us and say, let's go on this journey together so we can fight this together. So in order to push back against those structures, we knew that we couldn't do it with just one cafe, right? So that's something that we learned. We couldn't do it with one cafe alone. We knew that our cafe was going to serve the community as a community center. But without the backing of our nonprofit and our consulting company, we realized that it wasn't going to be sustainable. So that was something that we realized when we created our ecosystem. And through this, we created our sustainable Slack ecosystem, which is really what surrounds everything we do and really wraps its arms around our community-centered business model. And through that, we've focused on our issues of addressing access and equity in our community, and everything we do with all of our focus on food justice and cultural preservation and reverence and social equity, entrepreneurship. Those are the focuses that we brought into what we do and that we continue to advance in this space. And all along, we've talked about how we continue to face challenges, and this particular challenges to get funding, things like commercial banks. We've worked with the commercial banks, but when you work with them, they don't want to fund you until you're seasoned at a certain level, until you have 3, 4, 5 years of business experience in your business, plus 3, 4, 5 years of profitability with certain metrics, right? So there's a lot of standards you have to jump through when you work with the commercial banks. And then there's local banks, your CDFIs that want to fund you. But usually when you tell them about your project and you say, I want to buy a building or I want to open up a new cafe, they say, they want to fund you, but they'll give you $50,000 or something like that, which is like not enough to really do the project. And, when we ultimately finally got funding, the blessing of funding that finally we got, because we worked so hard to go through so many different conversations and applications and meetings. And finally, we just landed our most recent round of funding. But, you know, in order to do that, it took a year, if not more, to get there. It took months of paperwork. And it required all of the collateral and all of the assets that we have to bring to the table to even back up the deal, right? So those structures that exist around funding are not really set up for us to win, are not really set up for others like us to be able to gain access. And that's something that there's still a problem with, that we're working to deconstruct, but we need to do that together. And so we do what we do, even up against all the odds that we have, because it matters, because it's our purpose on the planet, because we walk in the footsteps of our ancestors, and we're trying to create a legacy for our kids, you know, and the generations to come. But we really want everybody to know that even when it looks like outward success, you know, we're pushing against adversity at every single level of the game that we step into. Every time we, you know, even now we hit a high point, and now we're faced with another round of adversity that's right in front of us, right? That we need to now be navigating again. And every single level we get, the stakes get higher and higher. And every new development, now we have to figure out how to manage it. So it's not just this external success that people see. There's so much going on behind the scenes that is creating greater pressure on us. And we knew from the beginning it was going to be hard, and it keeps getting hard. And like you said, we will overcome it. Like, that's in our nature. We'll find ways to overcome it. But by not speaking the truth of the experience, I think we're doing a disservice to others that want to do what we did. We have to show them the playbook of how we got there and illuminate that these structures are messed up and they've been like this forever. And if the supposed superstars of the community that everybody thinks is killing it and leading in the space like us, you know, are having such a hard time making it, how can we have other people behind us that have less privilege, that have less access, have less opportunity to make it? And so that's what we've led into in all of these conversations that we had so far as a recap. Mm-hmm. And, you know, really just wanting to look at, like, what does that mean for our community? And, you know, how can we look at the fact that, you know, the everyday local coffee shop or small business on the corner is probably struggling, is mm-hmm. probably having a hard time. Like, how can we support the local businesses more?
I know. Are you asking how we can, or the people?
Yeah, I'm saying that is something that people should be asking themselves.
Because I know how we are. We're going to actually show people, just by what you just said, how hard it is, and what we now gone through. They don't have to go through. They don't have to run their head up against a wall.
Right.
We can give them the pieces or the playbook.
They could link with local nonprofits, community partners, and people that maybe can bring resources to them as well.
Right. But here, what I was trying to say was that we talk about America, small businesses being this huge part of how America goes. But I think they're looked upon, these businesses are looked upon as if they're not the heartbeat, which they are. And they're not given the like you said, the support, the funding, the systems in the government aren't designed to make it easier. And why wouldn't you, if you're saying that this is the heartbeat of America? Well, then let's seek them out. Not them having to find where the grant is, or find in this pile of programs which one fits them. Why don't we do it in reverse? If we have these programs, if we have this help that we talk about in government, then seek out the people that fit that, instead of them trying to fit into your box. Go find them. How about that? I mean, it's a concept.
Yeah. And I think the way that we created sustainability in our local family-owned small business was to create a nonprofit, was to work with our consulting firm to bridge the gap on some of the things that we needed. The consulting firm that provided advisement and expertise and marketing and branding and, ideas like that. And the nonprofit arm that was like, let me take these pieces off the table where I can help with the social programs and also help raise funds to be able to supplement some of the programs that you're offering. So when you are a small business, you should be looking at what are local nonprofits that have services that maybe we can partner on, right? Maybe we can collaborate on. Or if you are a local nonprofit, maybe you should be thinking about what's a local small business that I can work with and we can collaborate. Or maybe at the local community college or the university, are there business interns or business students that maybe can come intern and support my organization and help me put those structures in place about the website that Joe and Celia talk about is so important, or the newsletter or the social media, components that a lot of times for small businesses and nonprofits, they
don't have the time.
They don't have the time.
And they don't have the funding.
They don't have the time and the funding. It's as simple as that.
They're trying to make the dollar. And you talked about, we were fortunate to have this, this wasn't our first rodeo. And we saw that it needed support. So we took a risk. Everything that we opened to support it, everything that's involved around our little ecosystem, each one of them were a risk. Each one of them were an investment, usually of our own doing. This is not, it's magical, but it didn't happen by, a snap of the finger. This has been with purpose. This has been strategic. This is each one of our pieces have just surrounded the cafe. And all people see, which is great, is, wow, what a successful cafe. But if they dig in, they'll see that the cafe is being supported by this, being supported. And I'm not saying just financially. I mean, just word of mouth is coming from all the other little pieces that we have, our market, our academy, all that. With South Lake Cafe is always being mentioned and being supported by the other groups that we have. So in some cases, we built our own community, around this thing. There's trust me, I'm not saying we could not have done it with all the rest of the community, but we have locked in our own little ecosystem, which is nice. Well,
and we are pioneers in this space, and that's why we've spoken so much about our community-centered business model. Because that is our proprietary framework that we have developed through trial and error, right? So when we're talking about our ecosystem, the Slack ecosystem and, the nonprofit and the consulting educational arm and the for-profit and how they all work together and the market, how all these pieces work together, that has been through necessity of developing those things and leveraging those things and going, okay, we have this over here. How can we bring that in? Now, we came with more expertise and maybe more, resources already because of our lived experience of our background
and our grind.
And I'm just saying, so for us, we've been able to create the community-centered business model with our ecosystem plus partners and collaboration, right? But for others, they may not bring to the table the nonprofit or the educational arm or the social services or, whatever it is, but that's okay because they can reach out and build that connection with their own, they can build their own community-centered business model.
We have been the prototype of that.
And we have been the prototype of that, and it works, and it's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's a work in progress. But every single person that is listening to this has a skill and expertise that they may or may not think is valuable, but we know that it is, and if they know how to make signs or set up a POS or whatever, engage the community, those are skills and knowledge that they should bring to the table so that they can help level the playing field. You can go to your local nonprofit, you can go to your local school, small business and say, hey, I have this skill set. I have 3 hours a week. Put me in, coach. How can I help? Because I realize that I'm creating this safety net for my local nonprofits and businesses and institutions that need that love, need that support, need that uplifting.
In the community. In the community. That's what that's about. And if you think about it, okay, you only have that little 3 hours because you have this other job and this corporate job and you're helping them out. You know what? Your new venture, you maybe become an entrepreneur and you're your own boss and you're helping not just one, but 20 of these right in your own neighborhood. Oh, imagine that. I mean, that's what life is about. I think helping the people right around you. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have so many thoughts like that just, they all circle back to community. All circles back to neighborhood. I mean, you just talked about just 3 hours. That 3 hours could turn into 60 in a blink, with all of the need that's out there.
But if all
little mom and pops just all over the place, and they can't pay you what you're probably making, but those together can pay you what you're making. And it's a greater cause. But
even if you're not doing it for a career or a full-time job, because that is an option. But even if you do only have the 3 hours, we know from our experience at Slack, when we get volunteers that come for their 3 hours, are you kidding me? That's so helpful. That's so valuable to us. On any given day when we do the grocery giveaway, that's an 8-hour day of volunteering. And let's say we get 6 volunteers, for 8 hours. Now that entire day has been covered by volunteers, which means we can repurpose our employees and the wages that we pay our employees to do other tasks that need to be done. Right.
It's helped us.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what helped us keep it's not over. That's what's going to continue to help the grocery giveaway continue to survive. It's going to be through volunteers. It's just no way around that.
And the point being, though, is that is what's needed for sustainability is the community to support the business, the community to support the nonprofit, and not think, oh, they've got it all figured out, or that I'm not needed, or I only have 3 hours, or I only have this one little thing that I do that's not that special. I take photos. We how many opportunities we have for photos? I create social media content. Do you know how valuable that would be for people to come in and actually be of service in that way? And again, we're not asking you to be full-time volunteer just for us. It's about sparking the idea about who else in the community can you help support. And then if we build that infrastructure for all of our community and we are able to focus more on small and local and, Black owned and brown owned and women owned and indigenous owned, now we're starting to build that community that we want to be living in, right? This is what we've always dreamed of for our community. And we're doing it together because we know that big bank, it's going to take us 5 to 10 years for them to put us on their radar and to write us the check that we deserve, right? And
they'll all be calling us next year.
And when
we've done everything,
and when the shit hits the fan and there's a natural disaster in our community, who's going to be getting the call? It's going to be us to help. We could be calling out and saying SOS, we need help over here, and guess what? They're not going to pick up the call, right? We're going to be the ones, plus all of the other orgs, plus all of the other leaders in our community that are going to be linking arms and figuring out, what do you got? What do I got?
Let's get it done.
I got a storage room. I got a truck. I got, some food. I got a freezer. I got water.
Just like we did when COVID hit.
Yeah, and linking arms. And so, but the more that we get ahead of that and we realize that that's what's going to create sustainability and empowerment for our community, as a whole, and everybody starts thinking about what is the thing that they can bring to the table, what's the organization or business that they're going to adopt or support. When we tell people, we need you to come 3, 4, 5 times a day to this cafe for us to actually get to profitability.
Or come and stay. Or come and stay is
Or
what
are
I
they
said.
going to live there? What do you mean?
No, I mean, come and spend all day. I had a couple came in. She just first time visiting, and she had brought her 93-year-old mom, and they literally stayed for 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours, and tried everything in the store. I think they were there longer. Everything we had, they tried. They ate all day long. They had pastries. They had coffee. They had juices. It was amazing. She said, I want to try everything. I was like, wow, okay, mama. Thank you. Bring friends.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. This is a famous line.
See you tomorrow. We got to get T-shirts that say "See you tomorrow."
Mm-hmm. With me going like this, see you tomorrow.
You just want your face on a T-shirt.
Not really.
Yes, you do.
Not really. Actually, I don't. It could be a silhouette.
It could be like a silhouette.
How do you say it?
A silhouette.
Silhouette.
An outline of your head.
Yeah, but not
with the speaker.
Not
a little
my
speaker
face.
voice.
I saved that for the statue.
Yeah. So really at the end of the day, just want to say, I know we've painted a little bit of a bleak picture here about how sort of jacked up things can be and how these structures are built to oppress us and are doing a good job at that. But really, we're not saying don't try or it's all messed up and therefore don't jump in. We're saying the opposite. We're saying it's worth the fight anyway.
And call us. We'll give you the blueprint. Call us or come. Well, actually, don't call us. Come see us, and we'll give you the blueprint.
We're giving them the blueprint right now.
I know, but we'll break it down for you. We'll help you. You have the consulting firm, don't you? There you go. It's all about that.
Coming soon, there will be more things in our library that they can access that are free content. So, coming soon, we'll have the frameworks, we'll have, some guides ready to go for people.
We're going to unleash all that. I'm not kidding. We're going to give people everything. It's going to be the go-to.
But ultimately, yes, if people want a literal team in place or, advisor in place, that would be our team. And we have people that can, spend time with them and do that as part of their
help develop their business,
their business. But as far as just free content for the community, here's what to do. The podcast is a place to start with that. And as we wrap up this season and we transition into a little bit of a pause, where as I started the conversation about the sacred questioning and the pause and the co-creation with the universe, speaking for myself, that's what I'm excited about right now, is this next stage of not having all the answers, not knowing exactly what we are creating and what we're not, having a vision and an idea of what that looks like, a framework and sort of an outline, but letting all the pieces land and filling in the details, right? Not having to know it all right now. And so that is what's going to be coming for us, is what's next. How do we take all that we've just talked about and put it into form so that people can access it and take it for themselves and leverage it for their own development?
Right.
What are you looking forward to as we transition into the next stage and phase?
Continuing to get out there and do the work. I'm really looking forward to all the challenges that are coming. I've turned a new leaf in the last couple weeks. I don't look at problems the same way that I did before, or things that come up. I look at it as, the universe, God first, giving me things that I need to handle. That's the way I look at each one of them now. So it doesn't have the same stress with it. It doesn't have the same energy that it had just weeks ago. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to, bring me with the next thing to solve. Bring it. Because when it stops coming, what does that mean? It's over. So, and every day is going to have things. We had a couple things this morning already, before we started this. So, but we handled them. We handled them differently than we did last week, than we did 2 days ago. It's getting better. And I think that's what I'm looking forward to. Bring me more.
Well,
I can handle them.
I'm looking forward to the triple R of the manifesting profitable revenue. Deeply.
Give me the triple R. What is the triple R?
I'm going to. I'm trying to tell you. Don't cut me in the middle of me saying it.
Okay. Go.
I'm looking forward to the triple R, which is manifesting revenue, roots, and rest. Really creating that sustainable, profitable revenue. Really looking at how do we create sustainable infrastructure and root system, and how do we create a culture and a lifestyle that has rest and renewal and reconnection at the core of what we do.
I like that. That resonates with me, the rest part, because people are so into this grind thing. The grind thing is nice. It's nice to say. But anything that you just have on full blast all the time is going to break down. So every now and then you have to pull back and get some rest and then come back and grind again. But continuous grind, something's going to break down.
All right, my love. Well, here we go. We're on to the next, but I'm feeling so grateful and excited about what we've accomplished here in this time that we spent together. These conversations that we've had will be part of our legacy that will last on beyond us. You know, that the next generations, will be able to listen to. And we always have really tried to create classic, timeless
stuff,
content and teachings that, can be put on the library shelf and taken off the library shelf time and time again for generations to come, and that it will still be valuable and transformative for people. And I just feel so grateful that we've been able to do that together, and that you've hung in here with me, and that all the listeners have taken the journey with us too. We hope that they've loved it. We can't wait to get the feedback and see what pieces, really sparked people's imagination and activation and motivation, and where they want us to go from here.
Yeah, we just gave them with all these episodes, what we've been through in our lives, and we didn't reinvent the wheel. We just used all the things we learned, and coming onto this cafe, you know what I mean? Just all the stuff that we've been through in our lives, we're pouring it into this, and that's one of the real reasons I think it's being so successful. So successful.
It's a wrap on In the Mix podcast.
It's a wrap.
Season 1. It's a wrap. I love you.
Love you too, baby.
Hey fam, if you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode of the In the Mix podcast. And for that, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We hope you enjoyed this new episode, and if you did, please take 1 minute to hit the subscribe button to catch all future episodes, and then please give us a 5-star review. Also, if you want to support our Black and women-led multiracial movement to fight social, economic, racial, and food inequity, please head to our website, southlacafe.com, where you can become a monthly member, sponsor groceries, volunteer, buy merch and coffee, and make a tax-deductible donation. Sending you lots of peace, love, and blessings from our